Hello, and welcome to. Honestly, I need to delete this. I actually did it yesterday, but hour and 21 minutes. That's far too long. We're gonna just delete that and start over. So, announcement: Dominions 5 is on its way. I'm gonna say I'm not overly surprised. I believe the Conquest of Elysium game was done in Unity, so I'm imagining it's going to be done in the same engine as well. And they've had some time to work with it. But you've just seen a real slowdown, at least 12 months, maybe even a little more, as far as patches go. So I'm not entirely surprised to be seeing this overall. Kind of a short life cycle, only 4 years on this one, though. Uh, I'm fine with that, though. I'm fine with that. However, you can follow it up and jump into their area. And so I'll just try to go over these fairly quickly. So real-time combat, it's not going to be defender or attacker go first anymore. Units are going to go at the same time. This is actually probably the biggest point of contention as of right now. A lot of players kind of like counting the squares, I guess. They feel it adds more strategy. I'm not really so sure. I kind of have a hard time buying that whole idea. I just generalize mine anyways. I know about where they should be. Of course, then again, I don't play against real players, so there's it is another layer in there. But the attack order is basically going to be random. What you're going to find is that some spells are actually going to take multiple combat turns to cast. It mentions any of the battle enchantments, so say Storm, for example. Pretty interesting there overall. A lot of different things there. Per unit combat logs. So I personally will find this fantastic. I imagine at least half of the community really won't care about a change like this. I find this incredibly good because a lot of times I'll have to, especially even when I'm recording, I'll go back and watch a video 2 or 3 times between turns to try to figure out what happened in a particular battle, and I don't always know. So being able to actually look at a unit combat log, that's great. More options to see things. Design your Pretender's Bless effect. Okay, so this is one of the biggies. Major and minor blesses, they're out the window. What you now have is you have a system of, well, we'll just come up here and just look at how the system kind of looks. So pretty simple. You can see they've gone 5 air, 6 astral, and you see bless points down here. And then if you just count it, they have 5 air, and then they have a total of 6 astral. But instead of going with like a 6 astral bless, they've gone with a Farcaster for 4 and the magic weapons for 2. There's also a tiny bit of information here. You can see the dormant is actually 25 points less than what it used to be. So bless effects, there's a much wider variety. In fact, part of the reason I actually delayed the video, not only was it too long, but I really wanted to look around and see if I could find some more information on things overall. So I spent most of last night, even though I had to be up for work really early, like 4 o'clock this morning. I was up till about 1, scouring the internet, trying to figure out what I could find. And so here are the blesses, actually. So I was able to find this. And you could take a look at it. Some of them pretty basic as to what they do. If you're actually wanting to see some other stuff on the second page of Steam here at the very bottom, there's somebody who links to the quarter to 3, and they got a lot of the information there because I'm not going to cover all of that. It would be too long of a video, but there's a lot of information within here that is quite relevant and came from the the Discord for Dominions 4 or Dominions, I don't remember. So there's actually a ton of information here if you're really wanting to look at it, but this is how it works now. And on top of this, there's now something called incarnate only. So if your god is asleep or if your god is imprisoned or even dead, this bless does not work. So if you want awe on your sacreds, it's going to be, I'm not going to count it out. I counted a lot of these. So they're between 8 and 10, depending on the top ends here. A little hard to read some of them, but like quickness here was definitely 10. I believe this was 8 if I remember right. But if you want the awe to actually expand with, rather than expanding with something else and then bringing your sacreds in later, you're going to have to start with an Awake Pretender with a lot of fire under its belt, actually. Because the Incarnate only means that your Pretender has to be on the map, actually. So, can't be asleep, can't be imprisoned for those extra points, and can't be dead, actually. So, you can actually snipe Pretenders to remove some of these major, I know nobody can see the air quotes here, blessings. Lot of different stuff here. Honestly, some of it I'm just shrugging my shoulders at. I really don't care. The survival traits for all of them, in fact, that require cross paths is a little interesting. Oh, and you'll notice some of these actually require skills. Luck is now going to require a luck skill. Etherealness requires a whole boatload of astral, but it requires magic 3 as well. While if you're going to want poison weapons, you're going to need death skills. So there is a pretty nice list over there. I really don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but it does look like to me that some of these are really just kind of unimpressive. But you will find that some of these blesses actually take effect. You don't actually have to bless your units. Right here you have water breathing. Water breathing is on all the time. You actually don't have to bless, so you can actually bring all of your sacreds underwater. Likewise, really, that was not. Oh, it's nature and Earth. Larger is actually, from what I understand, somebody said it was not a trap bless, so I assume that makes your unit actually one size bigger. But they said you gain more map movement, and I'm just going to assume more hit points as well. Without more hit points, the more map movement would not make a whole lot of difference there. But yeah, this is how it's going to work now. So if I just take I don't know. If we take a rainbow, though, I can have actually pretty overall, not great, but a small bless, honestly, for my uh, whatever happened to have in the nation that's actually sacred. You will find that a lot of these will have been nerfed, though, like the reinvigoration. From what I understand, these are all just +1. So +1 reinvigoration, the Earth 4 for 2 reinvigoration, not there. And at Earth 8, you would be up to 4 reinvigoration. That's no longer a thing. You're going to find the same thing on defense skill, attack skill, etc., for your basically old minor blesses. So a lot here that to really chew on. I mean, a lot of this is nice and all. In fact, I think this is probably the change that will really alter things more than anything else. Now, it also does mention that bless effects, certain nations will have exceptionally strong blesses and get extra design points for a bless effect. So, I'm just going to guess here, but if we again open this in a link new tab, here's bless points left. I'm imagining it's just going to give you like 1 additional point or whatever for whatever you have. I don't see it being much more than that. But that makes a lot of sense because some nations, if Niflheim ended up not being able to bless their Jarls or their Nifl Giants, I'd say the nation drops probably into the very lowest tiers. It just, generally thinking, I don't know how all the other massive amount of changes are going to focus in. But I could definitely, just looking at a nation like that, see where a change like that would make sense. So you could see priest banishment and smite spells will depend upon the type of god he follows. Again, we can just go ahead and open this up and it shows you right here. So we know they have air and astral, and we see word of power and stellar decree. Not sure which is associated with which, not sure what they do, but different paths are going to be different pre-spells. It really looks like pre-spells in general are still going to be linear, so priests are still going to start at the maximum power, but the ability to actually have a little customization and use for your priests at all, I mean, I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that in a big way. As priests should play a pretty major part in the game, in my opinion, but they really don't. I think they're pretty trash in most cases. History playback when game is over to see how your dominion spread and provinces changed owners. That's pretty fantastic. Just to look at the map overall and see just the time progression of what happened. New random maps with bridges and better looking terrain. So here's a picture of one of the maps here. Uh, is it better? Yeah. Is it really impressive to me? Not particularly. Not particularly. Honestly, I still think I will much prefer personal handmade maps by very good creators. And I don't foresee that changing. This is nicer, do not misunderstand me, but I'm not really going to sing its praises too much. Really, if the random map generator will just actually make mountain provinces in this game, so that maybe add a few more border passes overall. Mountain passes, not border passes. That would be great, because the fact that the random map generator only creates border mountains, that's pretty terrible. There's just some units that will only come from mountains, so not border mountains, but just mountains, which I always found really weird that was not on the creator. So we've got new resource system with recruitment points that encourages recruiting in high populated areas. So it's actually two types of things that go into recruitment now. You have your supply usage right here, 145 for Acro. And to the right of it, you have the recruitment, 372. That's for your troops. The /2, I believe, is for the mages. Well, commanders in general. You can actually now recruit multiple regular commanders. Regular commanders, scouts, and low-level priests will require 1 command point. Most mages and priests are 2 points, and the most powerful mages will require 4 points. However, if you just read down here, Fortress is only going to have 2 points. Like, basically, they're starting with a fortress right here, or they've upgraded it. And if you happen to be certain nations can actually upgrade 1 step further. It actually mentions MA Ulm here, but I would honestly not be surprised if Acro doesn't have that, since they do have engineers. They can go to citadels, which have 3 command points. So there is still going to be the slow to recruit due to the whole 4-point thing. But yeah, not kind of a multi-tiered there. I'm not overly happy with the change, to be honest. I've already done this from Dominions 3 to Dominions 4 when they handed slow to recruit on your most important mages for every nation, basically halving them. So now all of your highest and best troops for a nation, your highest tier troops, are all going to be a higher amount of recruitment points, just lowering the number of them you can get overall. And we still, for whatever reason, keep the supply usage as well on top of that. I guess they see a balancing point here that obviously I have no information on. To me, it just seems a little wonky, because I've already seen them restrict the mages like this kind of before. Because the slow to recruit still exists under this. A slow to recruit mage is basically still going to be 4 points, but you're basically only going to have 2 points with most nations. So you're just basically expanding that almost into the recruitment slots. Seems a little weird to me. New resource system. Okay. Fortifications built by the starting basic type and then upgrading later. So this actually it brings higher tech forts into play, actually, because what you're going to find is a province only has 1 point. You will put a palisades up, which is still just 1 point from what it says here. Then you actually upgrade. Instead of all the building upgrades that you should have never built in Dominions 4, there's just a flat upgrade that is going to turn that into a fortress. And once you have your fortress, the points go up to 2. And again, a few nations can actually upgrade yet again to citadels. So that actually really makes upgrading worth it overall. And they've ditched all of the mini, really pointless upgrades. I mean, more supply storage, who cares? honestly, you should never have been building those in the first place. Is it thematic? Yeah. Is it really a good thing? Not really. Um, New research K. Researching is now one school at a time. Here's another example I just don't understand, but we can just take a peek at it. So here you can see the K. He's going to be going to Tham 6, and then he's going to be taking his blood to 4, then to 5, then to 6, and then he's going to be going to enchantment probably 5 if I were just to guess, but he can only go to 4 here due to the K. And you can't split your research. You just tell it where you're going, and apparently it's just going to go there. I don't know if you can trade the K up or change it up mid research here, but you're definitely going to be left over with points left over, as you would just kind of figure overall. I don't know who would have asked for a change like this to the research, or why this is a decent balancing point overall. I see really no reason as to why this is a change. I mean, none. Again, there might be something here that I'm not seeing in the game overall. New movement system. So they've really kind of screwed the movement up in Dominions 4. They're actually changing this up. And what you're going to find is there's different provinces have a set amount of movement overall, and honestly we can just let's close this. Let's go ahead and do that. So here's an actual mage, and where is it? Map move of 14. So various provinces are going to have a particular amount of map move. I believe like just regular provinces are 4. If a province has roads in it, which are a map feature now, it's a negative 4 to the map movement for something. So the map move working completely different. But because of this, what you're going to find, according to this, is that cavalry, especially the lighter cavalry, is actually going to be able to move faster or as fast as some of the slower flyers. Due to the way they really borked movement in Dominions 4, flyers were king of the ability to move around. Also, snow is going to begin to actually affect movement as well during the winter. And it lets you know that in the middle age and late age, you're actually going to be able to see province names a little bit farther out sometimes. So that's interesting. So winter shown on map and affects movement. Here we can see Acro with heat scales. We could see some snow. Obviously it's winter. We can see some snow. Have no idea who controls the rest of that, but definitely can see some snow-covered land here on this map, which will actually hinder movement. So Dominion overlay on map is shown to boundaries. This is a great UI change. So if you want to know where Acro's Dominion is, it's really easy. It's this giant golden line right here. And it goes up here somewhere at where you can't see it, and then you can see it come down here, and it actually pops up right there. And it pops up again in the corner. Again, you can see it right here. You can see they've actually got their Dominion pushing into TNN. And other than that, they don't actually have Dominion across their eastern frontier. But that is a great UI change, something that I believe was really needed. New retreat system. Good leaders can prevent units from dispersing in all directions. And from what I read, from stuff off of the Discord, they can actually disperse into enemy provinces now. So that can be a little scary. Not only will you lose all the troops that you lost in the battle itself, but any real big beefy troops that might have been able to actually pull out, up to and including, I think, mages from the way I'm reading it. Like, I believe 75% chance they'll hit a friendly province, though. It says 85% chance if they have terrain movement types. I assume that's for the terrain you're fighting in. But they may actually disperse, I guess, into enemy territory and just be gone. We'll wait and see how this looks overall. We've already seen this in Dominions 4 when they added the squad cap limits and the bonus morale to national leaders. They really wanted people to just quit buying indie commanders for everything in the game, and you still basically just buy indie commanders for everything in the game. You don't have to, but it's kind of a waste of gold in most cases. Not all cases, but in most cases. Updated user interface with information to be more clearly presented. Now this is quite true. Here we could see one of the 3 nations that is supposed to be in the launch of the game. So this is Urok. This is Ur's middle-aged counterpart. I believe Russ is supposed to be coming to the game finally. Finally. And the other one is going to actually be a late-age Pelgia, where they're actually on land, and they're a bunch of inbred hillbilly queens and kings. I'm not joking here. That's why they've got insanity here, and they basically just keep marrying into each other. And also, yeah, they assassinate each other because sometimes the sister or the daughter of the mom wants to be the new queen, so she'll kill another one if it's in the same province. So those are the three nations that we know for sure in it, and that sounds about right. One for each age. Well, I'm assuming Russ is early age. That might not be exactly true though. Anyways, UI changes though. Here we could see the commanders. Thank God. Here we can see the units. Thank God. And here we can see the sites. Unfortunately, no way to actually see national spells here, so you're probably still going to have to crank up a game and see if you need any particular paths on your pretender or whatnot for any key spells. So that's a little unfortunate. And I believe these ones that are set aside a little bit, those are probably some type of foreign recruit. I'm just assuming that's why there's actually the spaces between them. And I don't know that for any real guaranteed, but we can also actually look at the research here. And what we'll see is, well, some of these are new, but like Telestric Animations, that's a ritual. Gateway's a ritual. Burden of Time's a ritual. Gift of Reason's a ritual. Oh, what do you know? They all actually have a tag right here. That is fantastic. Don't have to click into another screen. I don't have to hit R to actually bring up the rituals. I can just literally see it from the actual research screen, which is fantastic. And we also have the gem cost for various things here. So, Gift of Reason costs 20 gems. Yeah, still very expensive. I can't believe they didn't drop the price of that. Burden of Time, 70 gems. So, yeah, those look about right. So, a lot of good UI stuff there. Unfortunately, I don't think that they really did probably the area that irks me the most, which is on here. And I actually am going to take a couple seconds out of my day to go ahead and bitch about this. So here we can see treasury, income, and then you got the negative on the backside. Obviously, that's probably upkeep since I don't see upkeep anywhere else. I mean, yeah, that's all needed information. What I really want is I want to be able to see how much gold I'm gaining or losing a turn. If I'm trying to actually stretch my gold for a certain number of mages to hit certain points, or if I'm trying to hoard a little bit of gold in order to maybe start buying troops, I don't want to overbuy on the mages. Or if I'm receiving, like somebody pointed out in my Niflheim game, I actually have too much gold, and I probably could have spent some on spearmen out of with my capital resources. It would just be so much easier to be able to see not just my treasury, not just my upkeep, not just my income, but basically where I'm sitting with what I've up income minus what I've spent this turn, and I don't see that anywhere here. Likewise, gems. This is something again that I've been complaining about forever, years at this point. You take the 4 sorceress types and you extend this box down to the same length as your province information here, and you put a number behind them. I still have to click on the gems in order to see, okay, can I forge, how many bottles of living water can I do a turn? I've actually still got to go to a separate menu in order to look at that. That is information that, honestly, a good UI just lets me know right up front on the on this one page. I shouldn't have to flip through other pages to be able to find this information. And I really dislike the way Dominion's done. I really think that at 5 candles, it should just be a fat white candle or a black candle or a red candle or whatever you want to do. So it's basically a hash mark, and when you get to like 7, 8, 9, 10 Dominion, you're not sure how much you have. If you had those like 5 marks for when you are at 5, you could really read that very easily. I wouldn't have to mouse up. Again, user interface is all about what you can just look at and gain information on, and really this has always been kind of my gripe, and I'm fantastic. It's fantastic that they've actually added into other areas. I guess I should have done this one as well. I just really wish they would have done a little more there. So here we can see uh, any inspirational that they have, how many troops they can lead, and this I believe is magical leadership, just due to the paths here. And if we look down here, it looks about right. Magical leadership, regular troop leadership, and looks like this guy actually is giving a bonus of 1 morale out of. Oh no, that's squad totals. How many squads you can have? Okay, I see it. Because 1 of 3, 1 of 2. I thought that was morale because of the little flag. That's how many squads you can have before you start hitting morale penalties. Again, this is all great. I really just wish they had taken it a little farther on this part of the map. At least they finally added a plus or minus right here to defense. Maybe every new player will not completely mistake the fact that there's province defense in this game. New players never ever see it because it's basically hidden away up there. You don't even know you can click on it. So that's at least something they've added to this area overall. Um, New 3D engine with better looking terrain, huge performance increase for good graphics cards. I mean, we can just kind of, pop these open real quick. Yeah, it looks better. Oh, yeah, UI. Fireball, 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 fireball. We can see what things are casting. Is the terrain better here? Yeah. Is it, like this massive deal in my opinion? Not particularly. And here's another one. So, I mean, the terrain does look better. Honestly, and I really wouldn't expect it to have happened, but some of these sprites are very old. I would like to see a lot of the sprites, at least just kind of look into them. Maybe even if they don't all need to be updated, just update some of them. Coming into Dominions 4, they updated a lot of the Pretender sprites, so they actually do look a lot better, but I think a lot of the really older sprites are actually not really holding up that well these days, especially on these very large monitors that you have out, because some of those sprites are very old. So yeah, better looking terrain, huge performance increase for good graphics cards. I've really just got like a medium setup here, so yeah, I'm not. I'll probably see a little increase, but I'm not expecting much. More reliable network now works on less than perfect connections too. The network's terrible for Blitz games and stuff, so that's fantastic. New nations again. It should be Urok, the Middle Age to I believe Russ, and whatever LA Pelgia's version here is. By the way, who in the late age have also been chased out of the water. So LA Rillier is still the only actual water nation in the water. They've really chased everybody else out. So most mystics claim that the workings of blah 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 blah. Oh, so should the current queen die, the king marries one of his sisters or daughters, and they share power until one of them dies. The surviving monarch then marries another sibling or one of their offspring. Some kings and queens have shown signs of insanity and physical deformities. Most mystics claim this is the workings of malign forces awakening in the deep and propose a conquest of the shattered lands of old Pelgia. There's fierce competition among royal siblings, and princesses occasionally will murder one of their sisters to advance in positions. We've actually got something similar to this with EA Hinnom. The Rephite, I don't know exactly how you pronounce that word. They're basically some of the children of the Nephilim. Yeah, they eat their smaller versions, though. That actually happens within that nation, too. So if you got a bunch of mages together, they may be murdering each other, just like EA Hinnom. I don't know how prevalent that's going to be. Some old nations have been reworked and updated. This is actually where a lot of my video went in until I went to quarter to 3 and found out, oh, a lot of this was mentioned because I did a lot of complaining about EA Abysia, probably most of the Abysias to be honest, although late age might be able to kind of slide by. Or is it middle age? I think it's middle age. I believe they've actually got the upper hand there. Yomi's terrible. EA Rillier terrible. Turns out that they are updating quite a few of the nations. I didn't see anything about EA Rillier, but Lemuria's getting some changes overall. So, along with Yomi being completely reworked, I guess. After this, we have more spells. Great. I assume it's going to be basically out of, or kind of based upon, Red Rob's mod, which I can't think of the name of right now. It used to be extra in-game spells, then he just filled the complete magic list up in the game. And again, we can see some new spells right here. You've got Cure Disease. Cure Disease is not a spell in this game right now. Pyre of Catharsis. Catharsis is actually the units in the game. It's one of the Kings of Elemental Fire. There is no Pyre for him, though. I don't really remember Raging Hearts off the top of my head. So definitely some new spells here. Syllable of Sleep, that's new. Yeah, so I kind of hope that maybe they kind of glance at some of the spells, though. There's not... A lot of the spells at least have niche uses, but I will say there's probably about a dozen spells in the game that I really think could use some sort of a change. I don't think they're good enough in any regards. Blink. More magic items. Fantastic. Again, I really tend to think a lot of this, much like the base idea for the Underwater Expanded, I think that might be where a lot of this might be coming from. If it doesn't just not saying that they copied a mod, but they've taken inspiration from the ideas that it puts forth. Apparently, most items are getting reworked as well, which is fantastic, including nerfs to the brands. Thank God. The brands are just too powerful. I've been a huge person to say it for a long time. When you, let's go fire, and then we'll go the frost real fast. I'm just going to go over this real fast, though. So what you have here is 16 damage, and kind of lower on the firebrand, 12. But these are actually really, really good numbers if you just kind of go through like to construction 6, and we'll go just for one-handed weapons. And you just start kind of comparing the overall numbers. Like the Frostbrand especially, this is a extremely good single target damage weapon. It has the area of effect attack, which makes it a very good AoE weapon. And they both have solid stat lines in order to really just give you good stats all around. Really the one I usually point to is Sword of Swiftness. Where is it? Right there. So Sword of Swiftness actually does a number of attacks too, so you attack twice with it. And this only does 18 damage with +1 attack and +4 defense. So if we just kind of compare that here to the Firebrand, the Firebrand deals 16 damage, plus it's going to deal that 12 AoE damage on top of that. You actually get more single target damage out of a Frostbrand than a sword that is specifically built for multiple attacks for higher single target damage. That doesn't make any sense. I'm fine with the stats being higher, or I'm fine with the single target damage being higher, and I'm fine with the AoE damage being just a better clear overall. The fact that it has kind of the trifecta means that what you find is most of this is garbage. Very, very little of it is actually useful, and that's entirely due to literally 2 items in the game. You see the same thing with shields. If it's not a Shield of Gleaming Gold or it's not a Vine Shield, it is a step down from those, and not just a small step down. You're probably wasting gems. So outside of this, though, it does say that items have been reworked, which is fantastic. That's probably been the thing that I've been asking for more than anything else that was within scope for Dominions 4, was a rebalance of construction. More special abilities. I look forward to this with great trepidation. So, Yomi was my favorite Dominions 3 nation. They were not really all that good. They were fun, though. Dominions 4, though, they got Chaos Recruitment. They got Chaos Power. They got Undisciplined on everything that was not their 2 bandits. Plus, they were hit with Slow to Recruit on really their best mage overall, their still strongest asset. So what you tend to find is that Yomi literally was given all new special abilities that were just built in Dominions 4, and it was none of it makes any sense. It's a very high gold, expensive nation that wants turmoil skills, that plays defensively instead of offensively because you have lower stats on the none of it made any sense. So while I'm very happy to look for special abilities in this game, and there'll be a ton of fantastic. I would seriously put an easy bet of $20 that says there's one nation in the game that's going to get saddled with a bunch of special abilities that's just going to take it right up the rear. So yeah, I mean, I do look forward to this, but I am there's some trepidation on my part as well. More events. Honestly, a lot of the events in this game are basically a no impact. So I don't know. Hopefully more story events because I absolutely love those playing around in single player. More monsters. I have no idea what this means. Do nations have more monsters? Is there indie monsters? Are these monsters that we summon with magic? I don't know. More monsters though. More titles. More fluff. I guess that's fine. It's cool. Adds some thematrics to your pretenders, and more thrones. I would absolutely love more thrones. So yeah, whole lot there as well. How long have I been? How long have I been bloviating here for? 35 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna take just a couple more minutes here, and yeah, I'll go ahead and close that. Why not? We're just gonna kind of look at the blesses here again. So, if you happen to be going like major fire, there's actually some pretty decent stuff here. Having awe on your sacreds is really nice. I imagine this will be more of like a SC or a thug type bless though. Probably an SC, something that you're going to bring so that you can go ahead and maybe put your pretender on ice for a bit. Because those SCs are not really going to be coming out at the same time. Now, again, the game might drastically shift. That might not be the case. Flaming weapons, that's interesting. Doesn't require heat scales. I found that to be really weird because I was sure that was going to require heat scales. In fact, I actually said that particular bless in my last video would certainly require heat scales, and it doesn't. Fire shield. Fire shield's great. If you happen to have big, just bricks, they just attack you and they take damage from the fire. That's pretty good. Here you've got heat aura. I'm less than impressed with the heat aura, to be honest. Death explosion. That should be just like it says on the forum where I picked up this little nifty picture here. Uh, just like what it sounds like. Just what it sounds like. Inspirational presence. I imagine this is some sort of actual commander bless that's going to give you some additional morale to troops underneath them or within a certain radius to them. I'm thinking it might actually be like a reverse fear, to be honest. Uh, I would not be surprised if they actually added a type of fear that is basically just the reverse of it. Instead of lowering morale, it adds to it. Attack skill, Wasteland Survival. I don't really get any of the survivals, and that they're all cross pathed as well is a bit of a head scratcher to me. It really is. I don't quite get it. Minor Fire Bless, Major Fire Bless, and here you've got the extra morale that used to just be on all blesses. Even if you didn't take a bless, actually, so +1 morale was the bless if you just happen to have no bless whatsoever. Minor shock resistance, precision, far shot. Far shot actually might be kind of cool if you can actually maybe use your arrows or spells a little bit farther. That would be cool. Swiftness, not sure what that does. I'm going to guess it's more in battle movement, which I never did actually finish talking. Not only do you have the map move here, you've got the recruit points. So this would basically be like a slow to recruit, basically. But you've also got combat speed. Now, I'm assuming this takes place of your old AP, because I don't see AP anywhere else in here. Instead of just doing the slash with the map move, they've went ahead and split it out. You've got all of your leaderships actually displayed right there where you can see them. Again, this is good UI work, in my opinion, on everything outside of like the main page. But yeah, so a lot of this is stuff we all know, and you don't have to click into a lot of menus now. You want to know how old your unit is? Bam, you don't have to click on fatigue anymore to find that. You want to know how large a unit is? You don't got to click on hit points. It's right there in your face. So a lot of this is really nice, to be honest. Really, really nice. Um, Yeah. So basically, I think that bless is going to be like more combat speed, which I don't understand. If everything attacks at the same time, is combat speed going to affect maybe the attack order instead of it just being completely random like they've said? I don't know. Major shock resistance, charged bodies, so when you get hit the first time, you'll hit them with an electrical charge. Charged bodies only has one charge as it stands in Dominions 4. Probably the same thing there. Windwalker, I'm going to guess that's actually flight. That's what it sounds like to me. Air shield, I have no idea why an air shield would be a major or an incarnate blessing. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because air shield was all right, but definitely not fantastic. I could see a lot of nations getting use out of it if it was like a 3 or 4 as a was it 6? Yeah, you need air 6 for the air shield. I'm not buying it. Apparently, the thunder weapons do stun damage on top of the regular damage, so pretty good in the current incarnation there. Minor cold resistance, swamp survival, water walking. I think you can literally cross oceans at this point, or some water provinces, kind of like you had sailing, I'd imagine. Probably uses the same code overall, but different name. Major cold resistance, defense skill, frost weapons. Frost weapons actually requires cold skills. I have no idea why the flaming weapons does not require heat skills. Chill aura, water breathing. Water breathing a little expensive, but I could definitely see that being something in the late game that would be fantastic to have. I I don't know. At its cost, I really wonder if it's just going to be as much of a problem to launch Water Wars, honestly, is what it is right now. And I have a big feeling the answer to that is yes. Quickness is actually ridiculously expensive, but 2 rounds of attacks that every turn, that's nice. I imagine this is going to be just like flat out quickness. The bless quickness is only every other turn do you get that extra action with the current like Water 9, your major Water Bless. This will probably be every turn. Mountain Survival, Reinvigoration, Reconstruction. So regeneration does not work on things that cannot actually regenerate with like if you cast a spell on them. So reconstruction is for like statues and stuff. This will be for say M.A. Agartha with their statues. Unbreakable. Not sure what that is. I really don't know, nor did I see anything on it. Fire and shock resistance, larger. I don't know that there's extra hit points on there, but I'm going to have to assume so. Fortitude, I'm not sure what that does either. They have hard skin and they have bark skin here, so I'm not quite sure if this is going to give you the negative fire resist, and this will actually give you like maybe steel skin or iron skin, whatever it is that has the weakness to lightning. Minor magic resistance, arcane command, not sure what that does. Spirit sight, definitely not sure what that does. Magic weapons, which seems really cheap, by the way. If you can give your sacreds the ability to cut through ethereal and various types of things, that's actually pretty powerful. But it does to me strike me as a very counter bless. So you're trying to counter something in particular. So I think that's good at a like 2 level here. It's when I start looking at like water breathing, I'm going, isn't that like a counter bless? Where I'd want to see it first off not incarnate only because I'd want to be able to expand underwater during kind of the beginning phases of the game. But I really wouldn't want to spend a ton of money on that water breathing. It does strike me as a little odd because again that seems to me to be more of a counter bless. Same thing with the air shield. I don't know, a little odd on those. Solar weapons, more damage to undead and demons, major magic resistance. Far casting, I'm assuming this is going to allow you to cast ritual spells, additional province or 2 or something like that. Arcane finesse, don't know. Twist fate, we know what that is. Fate weaving, again, seems really, really not good to me. Whenever something hits your blessed unit, they become cursed. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it'll make sense once the game gets going. I don't see a lot of use helpfulness there. Luck, etherealness, those are pretty easy. Undying, undead command, half dead, no idea what that does. Withering weapons, Stygian flesh, reanimators. When you kill something, even with spells, as long as they're not undead, because I'm assuming it's going to work like the reanimation spells within the game, they actually raise up a solace afterwards. So that's actually pretty cool. Reforming flesh, that's going to be the death side for regeneration. Death weapons, fear. Honestly, death weapon seems a little expensive. It was never a great bless to begin with, especially as a major, and seeing it's still so high. Reanimator seems really good, and death weapon seems a little high in my opinion. Resilient, not sure. Again, low light vision, minor poison, major poison for survival. Unaging, I don't know how that particularly works, but that sounds like that might be something to try to solve old age problems with, which would be honestly ridiculously good for some nations. Poison weapons, recuperation, that's actually pretty powerful, and it's got just a nice 4 here, being able to clear off afflictions off your guys over time. Really nice. Berserker, bark skin, regeneration, strong vitae, I have no idea what that is. Strength, that's your old minor. Blood surge, blood bond. Blood bond is all units apparently within 10 squares share damage. So you basically have to kill a whole set of, within like a 10 square radius, all the sacreds at once. You can't pick any of them off beforehand. That sounds really good. Unholy weapons and blood vengeance. So yeah, a lot here to chew on. You can kind of get an idea where the blesses are going overall. Like any strategy game, a meta will fall out, and certain pretenders will... wow, excuse me, everybody. I'm hiccuping. Certain pretenders are going to end up being, again, the new go-to for probably like a general idea of this pretender is going to be better, generally speaking, than any other choice. Probably going to be different than what we have now. I really think this will open up a lot of your Dom 3 gods, though, that are really terrible in Dominions 4. They're just not good. And honestly, this should give a lot of power to Dom 1 rainbows. Because you can pick up a lot of minor blesses, and sure, it's probably not going to really change things out, but if you could get like 3 or 4 in like 4 categories, you can actually get some pretty decent stuff, it looks like, with something like that. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on everything overall. I think there's some good. I think there's some bad. Well, I don't think there's some bad. That's probably the wrong way to say it. I think there's some stuff that I kind of am scratching my head at looking at now, and there's certainly some stuff where I think they could have taken it a bit farther, especially in the UI area. But I mean, overall looks solid. I didn't mention it, but the Illwinter page does state there, if everything goes according to the schedule they're on now, early November. Today's September 12th, so we're middle of September, so roughly 60 days. So that would make Niflheim my last playthrough, and sometime in the near future we'll be ready to rock and roll with a brand new game. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I would love to hear everybody's comments on what they think of the various changes overall, because there's a lot to take in. In fact, I did the video already. I slept on it overnight after looking up more information. I'm just curious to see what other people have heard or what they think of the changes overall. Anyways, I'll quit talking. Enjoy your time off, and I'll see everybody another time.